Hi, my name is Maria Nino. Today I will be talking about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a mental health illness that affects 1% of our population. This illness is a very misunderstood and does not really have a reason of why it begins. Schizophrenia, we are aware that is a brain chemistry that is is affected by brain chemistry, genetics, and our environment. So many people that suffer from schizophrenia don't actually get symptoms until either they are older in age. It is very rare that a child would get diagnosed with schizophrenia. So we see it more in adults or in young adolescents, like 15 years of age or so. Schizophrenia, like I said, doesn't have a medical reason or is very unaware of why it begins. Patients that suffer from schizophrenia will usually have hallucinations. If untreated, they enter into a psychosis state where they do need to be admitted into a psychiatric hospital to get stabilized. They begin to hear voices that are telling them to hurt themselves or hurt others, that constantly remind them of how bad of a person they are or how horrible they are at a task. Defining schizophrenia from a family's point of view, family is affected towards any mental health illness, but it really does hurt the family when a family member has untreated schizophrenia. Many times they can become violent and they, like I said, hallucinate and become unaware of what is real and what is not. So many family members have younger children that live in the home, and viewing a family member that has schizophrenia can create a very hostile home. Many family members do not know or understand what is going on and therefore believe that their loved one is just crazy. They will leave them alone because of how delusional they become. And the patient will many times leave and get lost in the streets. They get into a brain stage that they are unaware of what is real and what is not, and who is helping and who cares about them. From a person suffering from schizophrenia, they call this as living with a demon, living with a shadow that never leaves your side. So for them, it's like hearing a paper, the noise that a paper does 24/7. And it never stops. And aside from that is hearing voices, constant voices, and thinking that somebody else is talking to you, but there's nobody there. And so they call it they call that living with your demon. And so patients fear what others think, and living with schizophrenia, you feel like people are looking at you constantly and 24/7. So that is sometimes what they hear in their voices, or like they're looking at you, or you have a chip in your brain, they're following you, kill yourself. So all the noises, all their voices that they are hearing, they become unsafe and feel unsafe in the community. And treatment for schizophrenia is medication. Taking medication, whether it would be a combination of medication or having a monthly shot, is also something to explore. So you have to be open with your provider of what type of medication you're looking for, what your end goal is, to get better, to stop hearing voices, to live a normal life. And so there is different combinations for different patients, because what works for them may not work for you. So you really do have to be open with your provider of what side effects you're having, what's not working, are you sleeping, are you not sleeping. So having your regular sleep and having your medications is crucial. Counseling will also be needed. So therapy having them meet depending on your condition, maybe twice a week, once a week if by the time you get better, once every 2 weeks, and so decreasing it depending on your need for therapy. And having support from your family, so having all of the support, not feeling alone, feeling loved by your family and cared for is also very needed. Many times the people that suffer from schizophrenia believe that they are not loved, and that's so that they are alone, and that's why sometimes they want to ask for help. So having that support from your family is very, very needed. And group therapy, a lot of providers and counseling facilities are creating these groups with people that have similar stories, people that you can identify with is also really good. Not feeling alone in the community and not feeling like you're the only one that is suffering from this is really nice for all these people. And then our homeless are very affected. So our homeless are living out in the streets, hallucinating and thinking that what they're seeing is real. I want to put an example. This now professor is Bethany Weiser, and this woman was a university student. She was thriving, having a straight student, and she mentions how her life with her parents was great. There was no issues. There was never any indication that she had schizophrenia or had any other mental health illness. So she was a star student, and she became so obsessed with being the next Mother Teresa, she would call it, gathering all this money to send out to rural areas that were suffering from income, that were suffering from poverty. And so she was so obsessed with this goal that she started hearing her fail, hearing all these voices telling her that she couldn't do it, that people were going to get all the money, people were going to steal all the money from her. And so she states she withdrew so much from classrooms. Her grades were affected, her family was affected. They didn't understand what was going on. She had, like I said, no previous encounters with schizophrenia, so it was a surprise for everybody. It was a surprise for her. And she states that she left the university and she stopped talking to her parents because the voices were telling her that her parents were just out to get her. And so she lived in the streets for about 4 years. She lived in libraries trying to get a night's sleep. She lived in bus rest areas, bathrooms, in the streets. And so she talks about how she saw so many other people that were experiencing the same thing, or just hallucinating, and many people think it's the drugs and it's the not wanting the help, but truly these people are suffering from a mental health illness that cannot be seen. And so having that help for our homeless is crucial. It's needed. I believe that when you are diagnosed with a schizophrenia disorder, we should be advising all these patients that they should sign a guardian document in case, and because you can stipulate regulations in case this is needed. The person becomes so delusional that they want no help, and therefore you can't enforce the help until they are a threat to others or a threat to themselves. And they withdraw from all medications, they withdraw from all treatment, and they go back in the streets, or they go back and do something else, something more drastic. So we should be advising our patients that are willing to sign a guardianship, so if the time comes once again, they receive the treatment that is needed. So I that is my point on schizophrenia. Again, my name is Maria. Thank you for listening, and I really did enjoy this class.